This is one of the most incredible crossovers I have ever seen in a game. And I don't even know if it was on purpose, but Wizards of the Coast just did an incredible crossover with one of the absolute most legendary Irish myths in existence. And it is spectacularly done. I don't know if it was on purpose, didn't bother to look it up. I just wanted to share it with you guys. So if you like magic, magic lore, or Irish mythology, you're going to want to stick around. Grab a drink, grab a seat. I've got a story for you. Allow me to introduce you to Lair, Disciple of the Drowned. First of all, probably one of the neatest cards I've seen made in a very long time design-wise. I know a lot of people who play Magic aren't really going to like it because it sort of irrelevates the entire purpose, but that's not why you're here. Let's talk about what this guy, or rather who this guy, actually is. Allow me to introduce you to Manannán or Manannán Mac Lair, the son of the sea, or son of Lair, the god of the rivers and the ocean, and the god of those who have drowned at sea. I know, it's already right up there. Now, they call him the Disciple of the Drowned, and clearly he's not a god. In the game, he is just a wizard. Now, this goes back to a very old and obscure piece of lore where Lair, who there's a long history that goes along with Manannán Mac Lair and Lair, so we're not going to go into the whole thing in this video. I do already have a video on Manannán Mac Lair which you can go up here and watch. It's not a full lore video on Manannán Mac Lair, but it is some more information if you're interested. Now, let's get into a couple of things about the card here. One, he's called the Disciple of the Drowned. Manannán Mac Lair was considered to be the god of those warriors who had drowned at sea. Now, something that I don't mention in the other video that is really relevant to the long history of Lair and Lair is the fact that he went through many transformations. And this is actually very common in Irish myth. Random, seemingly unexplainable transformations for no reason other than just transforming. So there's a point where Manannán Mac Lair, or Lair, is just an ethereal god, and then he becomes a dragon, and that dragon becomes the god of the seas and rivers, and then we end up with Manannán Mac Lair, who ends up being the most prominent figure in the legend of Mac Lair, and it's because he is the more human version. He is the human avatar of Lair, or in some versions, the son of Lair. And he ends up being the one who is a catalyst for resolving a lot of conflicts and ending and even beginning a lot of wars throughout all of Ireland. Now, what is very interesting is what this myth references. Now, he has a boat that sails continuously without any oars and is completely indestructible, and that's what he's standing in here in this statue. And he's standing in a similar pose in the card. Now, the reason why this is fascinating is because that statue is a reference to a certain myth. There was an attack on the Cork Cliffs where in some versions of the story it was mythological invaders, and in some versions of the stories it was the Spanish. There's really a bunch to pick from on that front, but what's important is that Lair raised a mist, and this mist allowed him to make essentially the coast of Ireland invisible, and it was not to necessarily defend Ireland. It was, but the point was to stop the fighting. Mac Lair, even though he's often seen as being a god of war, didn't like conflict and was constantly trying to end conflicts between all of the different various groups who invaded Ireland. And in this instance, he hid the cliffs from the invaders, but they didn't stop firing, and those from the coast didn't stop their fighting either. So he then raised an army of undead souls, essentially, to cause the rest of the ships to crash on the rocks surrounding the cliffs. And why this is fascinating, because for those of you who don't know, Magic the Gathering cards typically try to have some sort of reflection of what their creature or planeswalker or spell, what the card does is supposed to be a reflection of what that creature's abilities are within the lore. So on the card here, which I have up here, Mach Lear's, or Lair, Disciple of the Drowned, his ability is spells cannot be countered, which is huge in the game. And next is that you can cast spells from your graveyard as though they had flashback, and flashback is an ability that allows you to play spells from the graveyard. The reason why that's fascinating is because he was constantly trying to end conflict, stopping spells from being countered. And in this myth in particular, he gets his power from beyond the grave, those who have passed on. So it's an incredible and fascinating lore crossover between Magic the Gathering and Irish mythology. Thank you for wandering into my tavern. I'll see you the next time you stumble in. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Stay bloodthirsty, my friends. All hail.